What's up, y'all? Welcome to the video. We're here for episode 3 with one of my good friends. He's a 7-figure entrepreneur. He's an Ironman and an angel investor, Stephen Hollander.
What's up, guys? Yeah, not exactly sure what you're getting me into today, but I guess I should probably ask.
Yep, so we are here at Austin Bouldering Project. It's super sick. Neither one of us have really bouldered or rock climbed before, so we got a little lesson, and we're just gonna go out on our own and see what we can do. It's a new challenge. We're gonna get it done. See you guys out there. Alright, y'all, so we've been climbing, learning the ropes for about an hour and a half now. And today's challenge is that we're going to go from the easiest route to the most difficult route we can in 30 minutes. Now, the idea with these challenges is not to become an expert, so we will hit our ceiling. But there are penalties for missing the routes. My idea is that we're gonna go from the easiest route to about 5 levels up in that 30 minutes, and here are the penalties.
All right, so there's 3 things. So if you're unable to complete the route, if you use the wrong color block to get up the route, or if you fall, then you have to do 10 push-ups. So what do you think? Let's start the timer and get this going?
Let's do it. Cool. See you guys out there.
Over yours, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
All right, man, so the challenge was awesome today.
Yeah.
I've done it once or twice before, but you'd never rock climbed. How was it?
Dude, it was awesome. It definitely got me out of my comfort zone, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of heights either, so that was definitely interesting, but yeah, it's cool just to do different things and see where it goes.
What was the scariest part or the best part of today?
Yeah, I feel like when you get to the top, I mean, we did some that were, I don't know, 20 feet, and
20 feet when you say it doesn't seem like that much, but when you're at the top and you've just kind of completed a route, the going down part for me is scary because I feel like that's where I'm gonna fall.
Yep.
I believe I had enough strength to kind of get up and maneuver and hold on to something. But yeah, the going down part for me is was not pleasant.
Yeah. All right, man. So we did the Ironman together. You are officially an Ironman. You've built a 7-figure business. You're investing now. You continue to basically live this brand, right? You pick a big goal and you set a timeline for that goal and you do it, which is why I have you on. So tell me a bit about how you started in business, because that's what we talk about a lot, and some of the 3 biggest things that you've learned.
Yeah, well, it's lots to break down.
Yeah.
So where did I start? So for me, it was always, how could I actually make money, right? I think a lot of kind of typical entrepreneurs, they see a problem in the market and they're like, okay, cool, I've got a solution to that problem, right? For me, it was just, how do I make money? Just because I always found it interesting and fun. So it was always flipping items. It was going to garage sales. It was going to thrift stores. And I just learned a ton about like, what could I buy for 2 and sell for 5, or buy for 5 and sell for 10. So then it became, how do I private label and manufacture my own items? What do I see a demand for online based on the previous experience I've had? So I just feel like any entrepreneur's path is not linear, but there's been so many specific lessons along the way.
What's the first thing that you flipped for a profit and you're like, that's cool?
So one of the coolest things that I flipped was microwave plates.
And this is the plate that you put inside the microwave to put stuff on.
Exactly, the glass plates. Yeah, and so interestingly enough, I learned, and what happens often, never realized, but people break those and then they go to eBay to actually buy them. And you can buy them at thrift stores for $1 or $2, and people were buying them for like 40 bucks.
Nice.
So I'd pick up every microwave plate I could get my hands on, and if they didn't sell, they didn't sell. You just donate them. But the whole point is I was selling enough of them to then recoup the inventory cost of $1 or $2 times 10 to 20 plates, right? Mm-hmm. You sell one, you got your initial investment back.
Yeah. How old were you when you did that?
I was probably 14, 15, high school. I just realized, everyone has items that they want to sell that they don't use that have value. And so started kind of selling things on commission, which was another great business model for me because there was no upfront cost. And obviously when you're young, you don't have a lot of money to start a business. Right. You don't just have $50,000 or $100,000. So what I kind of then transitioned to was, you have old iPhones, you have old handbags, and those items have value. And so I would basically sell them on commission for other people. And like through that journey, ended up meeting somebody who had a designer consignment shop.
Nice.
And she basically owned all these items from people that they never picked up because they would just give designer clothes or designer handbags. And got a ton of inventory from her. She would give me 100 items at a time, and I was in high school and I was just like listing them on eBay. It was just a 50-50 split.
Nice.
But the thing is, it was just about doing the work.
Right.
Like as long as I listed the item, I shipped it myself, I did all the work, like from that sale I made 24 bucks or whatever it was. And over time that kind of compounds, but it was just kind of instilling the principle of if you continue to work and you continue to see what's out there, like the money is there, like it'll come.
I think you made 2 really good points. One, being young, which doesn't necessarily mean young in age, but young in business, right? If you've got a family, if you get laid off, or like a ton of other things happen and you just don't have the capital, like if you're starting a new business and you're young in that business, you don't have the money to spend. So you have to be creative and things like that. And then the other thing is just doing the work. It's getting it done. And so it's like, it's not about the difficulty in terms of the technical difficulty sometimes. It's just saying, okay, like, it's gonna take 2 days. I just have to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. A lot of the best businesses are simple, right? Like you look at any retail business, they're buying something low, selling it high. If you look at anyone flipping houses, they're buying a house for 100K, they're putting 25K into it, and then they're flipping it for 200 or 225.
Right.
And so I think most people are smart enough to understand like how people make money. It's a lot of the execution of actually doing it, taking the risk, taking the plunge, having fires come up. Like you buy a house and then the plumbing goes bad or the foundation goes bad, and how do you handle that? And that's where I think the challenge is.
Right. We had several instances out here. I love these challenges because they don't always directly apply, but there's a few times where we had to take a leap of faith, right, and trust just our own strength out there. And there's a couple where we had some push-ups, we had to fail, do some push-ups, and they were like, just trust your grip strength or whatever. And you make it, you're like, that was pretty easy. Yeah. I think in hindsight, it's easy to look back on businesses or events like the Ironman or whatever and be like, that actually wasn't that hard, but doing the work and trusting in yourself. So what are you doing now? What business are you running?
So we sell products on Amazon.
Okay. How much profit do you make on average for each product that you sell?
So it's a wide range. We sell products where we only make $1, and then some of our higher profit SKUs make $100. The name of the game in retail is volume. So margins aren't great. Margins again are going to be dependent on each SKU, and which is dependent on the category of the product. So some categories lend themselves to higher margins in general, like supplements instead of toys and games are much lower.
If you lost everything tomorrow, what would you do to start over and get it all back?
I think I would just be super open to any opportunity. I would talk to as many people as possible. I'd be transparent about where I was and where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because you can only get to the next level with one of two things: access or information. And that comes through your network. So I mean, there's two things, right? Be a good fucking person and try to add value to people's lives, whatever that means. And so I think when some people could hear that, if they're listening, value is just such a subjective term, right? Like value can come in so many different forms. And if you just go into the mindset of any relationship that can kind of help you get out of a drought with the mindset of, what can I give to other people? It will come back. Obviously, you don't go in with that kind of premise, but if you just put that energy out there, I think that's super important. I would figure out how much is the least amount of money I could live on a month, right? Food, rent, utilities, all that stuff, and then I'd figure out, I'd try to do as much as possible.
Right. But I like that because I think success is measured in a ton of different ways. And when you look at people that are in public service, especially like the military, teachers, social workers, whatever, there's a level of success that will never be monetary. And so I think it's the same principles. If you really want to help a kid out, or if you really want a mission to be accomplished or whatever, you still have to have that, like, what would I do if all odds were against me, if I had to start over, if there's an impossible scenario, like the process is still the same. I just like applying it to wealth. There's a few questions I ask everybody. What is your mission right now, your kind of purpose overall? So you built this business, we'll get to the Ironman in a minute, but you've done these events and things like that where you're constantly pushing yourself. So what's your mission? Why are you doing all those things?
For me, I think it's just about becoming the best I can become. I think it's my own internal battle of, in my life, who can I become and what impacts can I have? And so I think that's what drives me the most, is just want to see what I can accomplish.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit before, but for some people, like, I know there's mornings where I just get up and I'm like, nope, don't want to do this today. I have no desire, even if things are going well. What are some of the things that you use to make sure that you don't hit snooze and you get your ass up in the morning and go make things happen on a daily basis?
I think the biggest thing I could say for that is you have to know how to trick your own mind. And that's where doing things like an Ironman or doing a marathon is super beneficial, because you learn your own operating system. And once you've learned that through challenges, through building businesses, through doing even a challenge like this, you then understand how you can overcome that snooze button. And so some things I personally do are I keep my phone out of my bedroom, and my alarm is, 20 feet away from me. And so it forces me to get up.
I love the phone out of the bedroom. I share that with all my friends because I sleep like a bear, and sometimes I don't even hear my alarm, you know? So if I'm like exhausted and my alarm's going off for a few minutes and I just don't hear it, Danny will shake the hell out of me. And then I still have to go get the phone, you know? So by the time I'm up and I've walked over, have my water next to my phone or whatever, it's like I've started, I might as well keep going.
Exactly, yeah.
So
and you just learn how to trick yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, would be interesting to ask you what you did during the Ironman, but like...
I just called you guys. Said I wasn't coming and then you guys showed up.
But yeah, I mean, like during the actual race, like what do you tell yourself? Like it fucking hurt, and you have to find, like, you have to be able to trick yourself and say you're not tired, you can keep going, or else you're gonna quit. And it's really just that simple. Or even like, man, when we were standing next to each other to start the swim, I was so scared about to jump in the ocean.
Yeah.
And there's no kayakers.
Nope.
That was a bunch of bullshit. But yeah, for me, it was like, okay, just swim to the first buoy. You can always swim back. You know, okay, all right, you're already at the first buoy. Let's get the second buoy.
We're only half a mile from shore.
Yeah, you're only 2.2 miles out now.
Yeah. So why did you do the Ironman? It was a blast. Just tell me, like, what made you want to do it? Some of the things you pulled out from it along the way.
What made me want to do it is, I remember in college, I used to work out at an LA Fitness, and there was a pool. And I don't know what prompted this, but like after work, I was like, okay, I'm gonna swim like 10 laps. And prior to this, you know, growing up in Florida, I know how to swim and not drown, but I don't know how to swim like laps. They're two different things.
Yeah.
I was absolutely exhausted after one lap. Like I could not swim more than 50 meters. And so then I forget what it was, but I learned what an Ironman was, and I heard the distances, and I'm like, no way. Like that is not possible. Yeah, for me, it was just wanting to see what I'm capable of. And the biggest thing I think I got out of it was just more mindset tricks. You know, learn myself better, learn what I'm capable of. I remember seeing the mile 26 sign, and you have 0.2 miles left.
Yep.
And like everything in that moment, just, it all made sense to me. It all made sense of why I went on this year-long journey of becoming an Ironman. And I sprinted it in, and I'm crying, and I can't even see anything. And what really came through in that moment was you can really do whatever you want in this life as long as you're willing to put the work in. And that was it. And I just really learned, like in that moment, that like, can't is bullshit. Like just take it out of your vocabulary, and learn that whatever you want to do in life, you can do, so long as you're willing to do the work.
So I've got like 2 more questions. Whether this is in fitness, business, life, relationships, whatever, what is your superpower?
I think that I've got such a level of tunnel vision, and if I want something bad enough, I will find a way to do it. And I think that's my superpower.
What do you do with things that you kind of want, but might be a distraction? Let's just say,
the tough part.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
How do you deal with things like that?
I honestly don't think I deal with things like that great, because you can only do so much at once. And I think you and I have had so many conversations about priorities and levels of focus and doing one thing extremely well instead of 3 things extremely bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's always distractions that come in. Like even right now, I keep a list of the general topics of things I'm trying to learn. And that list is always growing.
Yeah.
I just recognize if I don't stay put with one thing at a time, you're not gonna get anywhere.
I've learned that a lot, especially recently. Like, I've had a harder time. I've had an easier time as I got older, but I've had a hard time remembering from when I'm younger to now, like pigeonholing myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want to in my head just be a doctor or just be in the military or just be whatever. And so what I didn't realize was, again, especially as I get older, I'm like, I would rather look back and be like, he's a great doctor or he's a great XYZ, whatever. And so really being able to focus and nail something down doesn't mean that you're stuck in it. Sometimes it even makes you a better entrepreneur or doctor or relation, like friend or whatever, to say, okay, I'm gonna spend the next 6 months getting really, really good at this thing, and just being okay saying no to everything else, making a list of all the things that you wanna do. What is it Buffett says? Like, if you
make a list of everything,
and pick 1 or pick 2.
Because
you can,
everything on that list.
Yeah, and I recently did this with like things I want financially. I'm like, okay, I want, and realistic things, like I want a full sleeve tattoo. Okay, that's $5,000. I want a motorcycle. I want to buy a new skydiving rig. I want just like new clothes, like new shoes, whatever, and make this list of things and say, here's the cost, here's the total. It's way more than I thought. Okay, I don't need this, and this, but I do need like some new shorts to work out in or whatever. And then you start to see your priorities. You start to be able to like play out the long play of these things that you want, whether it's in a relationship, things that you just want to buy, places you want to spend your time, and focus. And that is one of the most consistent things that I've heard from people that are successful in any field, is like be able to say no and be able to be okay for the indefinite future being in this field and working on being an expert in this field. So I've got one last question. I know you invest a lot. I know, you and I are always talking about like what's the next fitness challenge, what's next for you, what's the next big thing?
Yeah, so I think in terms of what's next for me, I really look at my life like in different buckets. Learned that from Jesse Itzler. And so last year was a big fitness bucket. This year is kind of a big business bucket of, continue to build my company, continue to build out my investments, and learning as much as I can in business. So one of the biggest things is definitely like the more you learn, the more you have the potential to earn, right?
Yep.
And so that's really what's next, is continue to learn, continue to grow my business, and continue to make investments that I believe in.
Well, man, thank you.
Of course,
Thanks
bro.
for coming out. This was great. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Guys, this was great, as always. Like the video, subscribe, keep battling, never rest.